All right, we're in. Okay. All right. All right, everyone. Another episode of Things I Wish I Knew About Money. I'm your host, Camille Smith.
And I'm your co-host, your boy Dre. This week we have some big people topics to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it would be disrespectful
Yeah.
that we did Mother's Day and we didn't do Father's Day. So
Right.
obviously we're here to salute to the kings like
So
Andre.
yeah,
Whoa!
man.
Hold on.
Shout out to all the fathers out there and
Exactly.
the father figures them, you know.
Exactly. Oh no. Why is it doing this?
So, you know,
There we go. There it is. There it is.
this is just such a good topic. So good call,
Mm-hmm.
and talking about Father's Day because I don't even know where to begin, but I do know, like, I have a copy of my book here, Living Purposefully Beyond the Walls of the Ghetto. And
Done.
interestingly, I believe it's chapter, let me see which chapter, because I tell you, like, fatherhood was, yeah, we're going to talk
Yep.
about it today. We're going to break it down. And so hopefully all the fathers are here and the father figures.
Mm-hmm.
Part 3 of my book, right, page 91, that's where the chapter begins. And I talk about an absent father. But we want to talk about everything. So we want to talk about the absent father. We want to talk about the present father, and we
Yes.
want to talk about the people who didn't have to be fathers, but they still decide to become a father. So I don't know. I don't know if you want to start by sharing, your experience about, like your relationship with your dad, or tell us like who your father is, and the type of relationship and the lesson that you learned from your
Yes.
dad.
Yes. So I have to give a big shout out to my dad. His name is Cleveland Smith. I'll even do the horn. Don't worry. So I'll say this. I think out of like the many people that I know, I was one of the lucky ones because I was raised in a two-parent household.
Mhm.
So my dad was very active. He was always there, and he wasn't like was it Papa was a Rolling Stone. He wasn't one of those type of people,
You,
you
you
know.
can sing, man. Hold on, give us some tune there. Ah, you can sing. I love it.
Temptations, you know. Um, so the way that like our relationship was or is, I should say is, sorry, because he's still
Hey, me I
around.
said, am I listen?
Huh?
No, yeah, I said was. I mean, I said one day for my
I
listener.
know.
What
It's
should I talk
like
about was?
like at first, as growing up, women we grow up, our first love for a man is our dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was daddy's little girl, but as I was growing up, I was also a rebel.
Yeah.
So and it's funny because we were both stubborn folks, so
Right.
we've bumped heads a lot. So, but since everything has happened, we've been able to bond even more, and
Mm-hmm.
I always appreciated everything he did because obviously he put a lot of effort in putting food on the table,
Mm-hmm.
doing what he had to do, but obviously we had some good days, bad days, and downright ugly.
Yeah.
But I do respect him no matter what. So every Father's Day, there's probably one Father's Day I didn't do something because kind of weren't talking, but that's a different story. But I have done something. No matter what, I always like appreciate and show my appreciation no matter what.
Mm,
And I'm very fortunate because I know a lot of people that weren't able to experience that. So when
right.
I hear like my guy friends that are active fathers, or even guy friends that took like someone else's child, I praise them 100%, because
Mm,
like how society goes like, oh, you shouldn't be taking care of someone else's child.
right, right.
On that, I don't even like listening to society's way, but I even respect those men even
Right.
more that are able to take consideration of other
Yeah.
people's children, right?
100%. 100%.
So and my brother in Jamaica is also a father, so I want to make
Shout
sure.
out to your brother. Big up
Yes,
yourself,
Smart
brother. You're
Smith.
large. Make sure say
Yes,
you tune into the podcast,
yeah.
eh?
So I have to big him up. So I was able to post like photos of Andre and Nathan, and then myself as like a child, like growing up, and just seeing how our relationship is still, strong. Even though
Right.
there's some good and bad times, we're still able to stay together as a family, and that's important.
Yeah.
So salute.
Salute, 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 salute. And what would you
Mhm.
say is like, or we can come back to this if you want, but
Yeah.
what would you say is a biggest lesson or lessons that, you learned from your dad?
Yo,
The list is long, eh? I can imagine.
listen.
I haven't met your dad in person,
I
but he seems super incredible.
He is. I am not accepting any dude that can't cook,
Guys, listen, listen,
that
listen.
can't clean, because like my dad's OCD, and through this time, he actually, yeah, he was the better cook in the family, right? So
A Jamaican guy, you know that already, man. Jamaican guys,
true,
them
true.
can cook, but
So he's really big on like cooking, and he cooks like every day. I had to like try to stop him, like, Daddy, please, we don't have to cook every day. Please bulk so we could just eat and just keep it going
right.
and stuff. And also he taught me a lot, like I would help him fix the car back in the day, fix the tires. Like people don't
Mm,
think I know how to do these things, but I
right, right.
actually know how to do them. I just
Nice.
never had a chance to do it. um and this is the first man that I met that truly loved and respect his wife. And even when it came to like the anniversary, like parents' 40th anniversary, like my friends to this day, they're like, yo, yeah, I remember when your dad was just carrying your mom's. You know how most guys don't like to carry a purse and stuff? My
Hmm.
dad would be like, I love you enough that I'll do it. So
Yeah.
the thing I love about him is that he doesn't care what others think.
Right.
He'll put that aside, because like they're one, right?
Yeah.
They're one. So I I've been able to actually see black love and see like what a man is supposed to do. So like
All
if I
right.
if
Yeah,
I
man.
can't get something close to that, I don't want it.
You don't want it. Just stay single.
Right?
Just
Exactly.
stay single. Single cause you can't bother with no jingle. All right. Makes sense.
And I'm and then I have like my godfather,
Hmm.
Uncle Neville. He was like kind of like a grandfather to me, because my god sisters are like the same age.
Right.
So I also appreciated him as well back in the day, because he was just very involved in my life as well. So till this day, I'm still close with my god family because of
Hmm.
him. So I just want to give him a shout out as well.
Shout out. Big up Neville. Neville, you're large.
Yeah. And what about you, sir?
Well, on the flip side, pun intended.
I know. And then what's this? Before we talk about it, the thing is that I think a lot of how you're gonna tell your story is what a lot of our generation like
Right.
has experienced. So I'm hope but I know it's happening is
Yeah.
that the ones that were had absent fathers actually managed to become better
Yeah.
fathers. So
I,
we're
and,
gonna
and,
talk about
and
that
I'm gonna
soon.
put some stuff out there before I actually start going into the story, right? So I'm gonna
Mhm.
put the word create out there, right? Before I share my story. So, listeners, keep that word in mind, create. But the other thing that I love that Kevin Hart said, and I'm gonna say it before I actually go into, my experience and personal relationship with my father and how
Mhm.
I've evolved and how I became the father that I am, right? But Kevin Hart said, and I don't know the exact words, but I'm going to paraphrase to some extent. He said, you know, I cannot change you. I cannot change the fact that you are my father, but a bond is earned, right? So biologically speaking, the person is going to be your father no matter what. But
Yeah,
to have an actual bond with the person, that is something that is earned, something you have to work for and create that bond, right? And so
exactly.
going back now, like I'm gonna go into the story. My father and I, like, I don't even know. Honestly, sometimes I try to examine from his perspective, like what it could be.
Mhm.
But I realize that it's something that it's like right across the board with his kids. I don't know if it's for him, if it's just generational or mentally what's going on with him. Like, I don't know the answer to that. But what I
Yeah.
do know is that my father and I never had a great relationship growing up, right? My father has been a distance father, um, just like a lot of people out there. It was always my mother and my grandmother who
Mhm.
were active. My aunt as well. My aunt was played a significant role in like my education. And I remember her, the things she usually do, like drive around and show me the signs and ask me to read out the words. And she helped me in building courage and things like that. So it is,
Nice.
the interesting thing is that majority of my experience and the type of guy that I am was shaped
Mhm.
by women, my mother, my grandmother, and my aunt, right? um, so those were the three, and my sister, my older sister, those were the women in my life at the time that gave me a lot of insight and whatnot. And I talked
Yeah.
about my father in my book and how the relationship wasn't great between him and I, and I've made several efforts to actually restore that relationship, to
Mhm.
build that relationship and build that trust, and over,
It just doesn't
I just don't
work.
know what to say. Like, I mean, even things like, I'll tell you, like, one of the craziest experience for me is that my father didn't even remember my birthday, right? And it, at the time
Jeez.
when that happened, I went to him with, my friend, and
Mhm.
you coming now, I think I was in like grade 9 or 10, and you
Yeah.
come with a virgin and you link your father, and your father
Yeah.
didn't even know it's your birthday. The most um,
Embarrassed.
heartbreaking thing ever, right? And
Yeah.
like in Jamaica and whatnot, you know, growing up in the ghetto and things like that, most guys are told that they have to be tough. So like a situation like that, they just have just brushed it off and gone because it's the manly thing to do.
Mm.
But over time, you realize that these things, they affect you as a guy, and the built-in anger. I tell you, a lot of guys on the street,
Yes.
it's not even like, yes, there are societal issues that force them down a certain path, but a lot of the times it's just love. They need a love from a man that they're not getting, right? And
So
that will
true.
heal a lot of the wounds, right?
It's
And so for me, that whole experience with my father and me, that journey to defining manhood and what that looked like, I had to define for myself what manhood looked like, or what it takes to be a real man, right?
yeah.
And so in parts of Jamaica, you'll hear people say, "Yo, if you have enough youth and whatever, whatever." And I never wanted to go down that path. I wanted to, when I'm having my first child, I want to make sure that it was a decision that I'm prepared for, right? And
Yeah.
I feel like that's a big part of it, because a lot of times some guys, they look at woman as just like a piece of meat, and them just want a you to the woman, but they're not prepared to be a father, right? So you
Right?
have, it's a decision that you have to be conscious about. I mean, stuff happen, but once it happens, I encourage guys to like play the part. And
Mhm.
so let's move from that I don't want to dwell too much on the past. I still talk to my father and like whatnot, but that bond is not there. But let's go back to the word create that I
Straight,
put out there at the
yes.
beginning. So even though I never had this great relationship with my father, where I never
Mm,
hear I love you and things like that, and we never hung out at the park and whatever, I have made it a point of my duty to create the experience I never had with my son.
yes.
And the experience, not only the experience that I never had, the experience that I dreamt of, and the
Mm,
experience that should be. I make sure
mm.
all of those are manifested.
Well on, well on, well on. That goes for shucks.
I'll
Because
be
I know,
gas me up on the podcast, you know.
because I know how important that is. Like, we always have these. Well, yeah, we always have these discussions that a woman can't teach a boy how to be a man.
Yeah,
That he needs that like figure, manly man figure or father figure to be able to teach him that. And I think also like in a way, there's also should be a way to a father should be able to tell their
right.
son, "I love you,"
Yeah,
because it's not, you know,
yeah,
it's not like you telling your next man, especially that is like yours. It's not weird or anything. It should
right.
be normalized and stuff, right?
Exactly.
Like you
Yeah.
can tell your son you love them. It's
You can
okay.
tell them. You can kiss them in public.
Exactly. It's
You can go
okay.
to the park with them. You can chill with them. And
Right?
so that's the thing the relationship that I built with my son. Like my son and I are super close, right?
Hmm.
And so I focus a lot on creating that experience. But here's the part that I want to touch on because like for me, and just like you said, having both parents is really important, right? Whatever that both parent situation looks like, it's
Hmm.
important to have both parents showing love and devotion to each other, right? Because it does a lot for the child. Like I remember, and it's something that my wife and I we fight for it every day. We keep fighting for it. No relationship is perfect, and we keep learning and we keep growing. And Nathan was a big part of that learning and growth experience because there's so many things that we had to learn along the way.
Absolutely.
But part of being a father as well is appreciating your wife or that woman that gave birth, and being as respectful as possible, because
Hmm.
what I saw my wife went through to create this life, right? It was life changing for me. And I think I've said this probably like 3 or 4 times on the podcast, but experiencing that and just holding my son for the first time. I remember the first time I held him.
Jeez.
That to me felt like being a man. However,
Yeah.
people want to define manhood or whatever, that felt to me like the journey has really just begun. And as I held my son and as I looked at him and as I smiled and
Mm.
as I watched him grow from the popsicle I'm usually call him, well, popsicle no work no more, right?
Yeah.
In my two and almost three now, so I can't call him popsicle, but I call
Boy.
him Mr. Pops, right?
Hmm.
And his name resonate.
Yeah.
And but just watching him grow and watching him like learn and talk and walk and all of these things. Fatherhood is a really, really, really beautiful journey. And for me, I could never understand why people would choose not to be an active father, right? You can be a father on paper, but being a present father, just like
Exactly.
Camille said, being there to every time, teaching, her how to do all of these things and whatever. So
Hmm.
definitely, I wanna shout out, all of the father them out there, right? Biological, adopted, stepfather, godfather,
Hmm.
great grandfather, everything
Hmm.
we have father, right?
Uncles and all that.
Uncles. Um, Shout out to all of those people because they all play a really important role. And even though I wasn't getting this from some of the things from my father directly, like I said, I got a lot of it from these incredible women, but I also got it from other, guys and people in the community who supported me and who, show me and teach me certain things. Because there were, even though I was in a community where a lot of the guys were like all focused on getting a whole heap of kids. There were some guys in there who were amazing fathers. I'll tell you that, right? And I
Yes.
learned from them, isn't it? So yeah, definitely shout out and like if you want to hear more about my story, my father and I, you can check it out in my book.
Yes, you have to get the book because
Get
we're
the
not
book
gonna
and
say
hear
it
about it.
all. We're not gonna say
Dedicated a
it
whole
all,
chapter to that.
right? And honestly, whenever I see you with Nathan, it just warms my heart. And it's like, because I know how much you love him, and I'm just so glad that you are taking that step to be the father that you dreamt about,
Yeah.
right? So salute to you, salute to
Salute,
you.
salute,
What?
salute.
And
And that's a big part, because some people will look at it and there are two ways they can go, right?
mhm,
You never had a good father. Some people used to say, you are so that me go through whatever, whatever, and they repeat the same thing. But then
yeah,
other people try to create a better thing. And you can do it. And I encourage every youth out there, no matter your race or where you come from, try to be a present father. Because even when we look at some of the issues that we face in society, a lot of the youth, them just need that father figure present to show them a little
that
love,
is very true.
show them a different way and say, yo, we know that's the way you want to do it, but here's a better way. You know what I
It's,
mean?
it's true. It's true. Like, uh, I honestly feel for everyone that wasn't able to get that same opportunity. But don't get it twisted. Just because you have two parents doesn't mean you come to be a perfect child or perfect person as well.
Mm-hmm.
I've done stupid things in the
Yeah,
past, but like I said before, I was able to, know right from wrong and learn valuable lessons
yeah.
with both parents. And I don't know. I feel like we should get into the discussion. Like, do you feel like the new generation, like our generation, yeah, I'll say our generation is becoming better
Mm-hmm.
parents or father figures?
Yeah, definitely. Like, and I think we were talking about this. I'm seeing more and more that, like, even when I look in, my circle of friends, like, they're all present, I mean, in
Mhm.
their child's life. I mean, I'll be blunt. If I have a friend and they're not being a father, we're no longer friends. So I guess that's
Woo,
why all my friends are playing that role,
woo.
right? But I hold my circle to account, right?
True.
But yeah, it's something that I definitely see. And I feel like, social media is playing a role in that because we're seeing fathers from all walks of life being
Yeah,
great fathers on social media. And I feel like to some extent that kind of pushes other fathers to like up them game.
that is true. And I
Yeah.
just, yeah, social media, always plays that picture. But I can honestly say, what, 10 years of acknowledging that friends are fathers, I've seen them actively in their lives. And I've
Yeah.
even seen friends that have taken others' children as their own. And I'm like, you a real one. You a
Mm-hmm.
real one because you could have just been like, I don't know, there's an analogy about like society, like we're the only animals or mammals, whatever, that take another child's take another person's child in as their own. But
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I don't care what anyone says. I love it. I think I would respect a guy even more
Yeah,
with that, right?
definitely.
Um, but I do see the fathers being active because I know like the generations before it was more like the mom was, the only thing that the child sees. But now now the fathers that I noticed,
Mm-hmm.
they're there. They pick them
Yeah.
up, they go play sports, they
Right.
like it's just so lovely because it's
Yeah.
just like you finally understand that those are the things that you missed as a child and
Right.
that you want to
Yeah.
create that type of stuff
Yeah.
as well.
100%. I mean, and there are still some fathers out there, who feel like say, yo, just like sending money or giving the woman money is sufficient. You know what I mean? That's not sufficient. Like money is not the only thing. Like You wanted to play with them. You want to put them to bed,
Exactly.
right? I'll tell you this.
Mm,
I wasn't always a super loving guy or a guy. Well, let me rephrase that. I've always been loving, but I just never know how to express it, right? So
yeah.
like I'll probably do it through my actions more rather than saying it, right? I wasn't good at saying it, and I think being with Chanel first, and
Mm-hmm.
then Nathan coming in the picture. I think I've gotten better at expressing it because to maintain a woman if you're with one woman for 8 years is not easy. You have to show her, you have to tell her. So after after 8 years, you have to keep. But one of the cutest thing ever is when I tell Nathan that I love him and he replies, "Love you." Like it is the
Mm,
cutest love you ever, the cutest,
oh
right?
my
And
God.
like that's something that's gonna transition from me. Like I'm never gonna stop telling him that I love him. No, it doesn't matter his age. But no, there's gonna come a point where he don't want to hear it no more. But him just have to get used to it because that's the type of father I'm gonna be.
Yeah.
Right? I'm the type of father
Mhm.
who are gonna come pick him up at school and say, yo, let's go out dad and son time or whatever. And
Yeah.
although I'm 16 and I have nothing to do with me, him still I go
You
have to
still
deal
gonna have
with
to
me.
deal with it.
Yeah.
Too bad,
But
so sad.
yeah. you know, um, we have such a cool relationship. And right now we have this thing going on. And you've probably seen the video where, it starts with a high five,
Yeah.
daps, yeah man.
Yeah.
So like he knows that routine, high five, daps, yeah man. And we just have that routine going on because I really want to focus on creating a bond between him and I, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. And that's key. That is very key. I myself is trying to keep that bond going. Um, now that it's like, a different dynamic, I
Yeah.
know whew, my dad depends on a lot. So I've taken a different type of role. So I'm just
yeah.
like, okay, this is different, but I can try to do it as best as possible. But he does understand that, there's sometimes he's like, maybe she does need her alone time. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes. So
Yeah.
balance. I'm cautious about keeping that like brunch. Like I always spent breakfast with them, spending like, family times.
Right.
And I know how important it is, so I try my best to keep doing that. And then we even used to play tennis.
Yeah.
He hasn't got his ass whooped in a
By you?
minute. Yes. But I'll definitely want to do that soon. Once, everything kind of goes back to normal, I'll be able to find a way to play tennis. Because that was our thing. Like since what? I was 14 playing tennis, and he was teaching me how to drive and stuff. He was like, go in like a empty parking lot. So, but I actually learned how to drive like how my mom drives because she is
Mhm.
like the speeder and stuff. And I was just like, he's like, oh, I see where you get your driving. Oh man, but yeah, I definitely want to keep the bond steady and
yeah.
just now it's funny because as you said, like, how I was saying, like, you could say I love you. Like, my dad doesn't know how to be like compassionate. Like, he caught me one time like crying. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna leave. I'm like, Daddy, give me a hug.
Yeah, that
So
would
now,
probably be me. I'll just
so
back
he
out.
now,
I said, oh, when you're done crying, I'll talk to you.
so he now knows that okay, I didn't used to hug, but I know what she's feeling, so I'm gonna now, like
Right.
give a hug and stuff. So we've got to that stage of giving hugs more because it's understandable and stuff. Or it's
Yeah.
okay for me to catch him in his moment and give him a hug. He'd be
Yeah.
like, no, I'm good. I'm like, Daddy, just it's okay. Just go through the motions. Like we're all
Yeah,
going
I'm
through
still
it.
working on that part. I think Chanel said to me one of
Mhm.
these. It was pretty recent. She was like, you can just give me a hug sometime. And I'm like,
Mm,
yeah. I mean,
we
it's
need
something I still need to
hugs.
work on.
We need hugs. We like
I
physical
know. I feel
touch.
like hug for me is more like when I'm greeting or when I'm leaving somebody, and I'm like going away, and I'm like, all right, give me a hug before I leave. But I
Yeah.
guess those in between hugs, like and just random hugs, that's what I
Yeah.
still need to work on. Like, oh, you're just there in the living room. I come in and I give a quick hug or whatever. I
Yeah.
still need to work on
Yeah. Keep keep it try. Try it. Try it a
that.
little bit more. It works. It helps. It helps, right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I guess what's other things? Also because of how I saw how hard my dad worked, um, he literally just retired last year.
Oh
And that's
wow.
because of COVID. Him love work. Right now, he's outside like doing his thing, his gardening and stuff. So he's so active, like he loves to do all this stuff. So I appreciate that. But I think I seen how active he was working
Mm,
and how tired he was. So I'm trying to switch that narrative. And even though I'm like a hard worker like he is, but I'm trying to use my money to work for me harder,
right.
have that work harder than myself. Because
Hmm.
eventually, by the time I get to his age, I ain't doing ish.
I
I'll
don't
just
blame
be
you.
like traveling, right, and
Right.
stuff. Then just
And
saying, "Oh, I've been here 5 times."
yeah, and I'm glad you talk about like switching the narrative and like even in terms of personal finance and things like that.
Hmm.
Because that's who we are. We talk about the things we wish we knew about money. And just looking at even some of the lessons that I've taught my son
Hmm.
around personal finance. So far,
Yeah.
he knows about saving.
Nice.
He has a piggy bank. Actually, he has like I think two or three piggy banks. One of them is
What?
almost full, right?
Yeah.
So, and when what I do, I don't just like save on his behalf. Like I literally bring him, and him
Hmm.
and I will put the coins in the piggy bank together, so
Yeah.
he knows that the money goes into the piggy bank, right? And
Uh,
he knows about stocks. Like I can't believe it. Like he literally remembers the stocks. So like every time he sees me pull up the chart with the stock, he
yeah.
come and he says stocks, stocks. Like he fully knows, right?
Mm,
So I actually I show him and I tell him about it,
yeah.
even though he doesn't fully understand it. I start telling him about it, right?
Yeah.
And when like when I have my meetings and stuff, like he's there sometimes. So I of course his mom works from home too, so like he's hearing this conversation. He knows work. He said work, mom work, because sometimes my wife she goes into the office, so like he will say mommy at work,
Mm,
and stuff like that. So it's really important. And so for me, like I'm trying to like change a lot of things, like the things that I didn't know. And so that's why that creating is so important. And a lot of
mm,
people will say, "Yo, I never experienced this, I never had that," but you have to focus on creating the
yes.
things that you never had,
Yeah.
creating the life you never had, right? Creating is so important. When it comes to absence, the only way to get it is to create, right? And so,
Hmm.
like, even for me, thinking about the long term, thinking about, when my son turns 18, what's going to
Yeah.
happen? Thinking about when he's ready to go to college. I need to start thinking, well, I actually started thinking about those things before he was born. But even more
Hmm.
so, I need to start thinking about them now. What do I need to do today
Yeah.
to create the life that he will enjoy tomorrow? So it's not only when you become a father, well, let me backtrack. When you become a husband, it's not only creating for yourself anymore. It's creating for you, it's creating for your partner, it's creating
Mm-hmm.
for your child or children, right? So you have
Yes.
to focus on creating for the whole family, right? And so I will tell you this, like a big part of for me being out there and creating. But one of the things I want to share with you guys as well, because I got caught up in this, and I literally texted my wife. Um, I think it was like 2 days ago,
Yeah.
and I said to her, like for a part of my journey, I got so caught up in building financial freedom for the family that
Yeah.
I was left, I was avoiding to some extent the wealth that we've created, the non-financial wealth, the love, the spirituality, the understanding. the family and the togetherness. And so that's so key. So I want to tell the guys out there, the fathers, and to focus on that part as well. Focus on building your family and that understanding and spirituality and everything. That's,
Yes, yes, because, and as a woman, because I know guys think, oh, as long as I provide the money and a little bit of time, it's good.
Mhm.
But no, all that aspects comes into play because I don't know, us women are emotional. We feel like if you're not paying attention to us more or a little bit, you don't love us. So do
Full
that
stop.
extra, do that extra, hug or I don't know, like I was thinking of yoga, doing yoga together, staying active together, just doing things as as a bond, like as one will help
Mhm.
build the bond and everything. And especially when you see, I'm pretty sure your wife sees, like, as soon as you take care of Nathan, she's like,
Listen, she has
woo!
every single moment between Nathan and I captured on her phone. Every
Ah,
one of them.
nice.
Every single one.
So she appreciates that too, for sure.
She loves it. She loves to see when him and I interact. Like sometimes I look over at her and I can see the appreciation on her face. To know that him
It's
and I
big.
are like so close. Yeah.
It's big, especially if because I'm not sure, especially if she didn't see that growing up. You can
Hmm.
only imagine how she's feeling inside. Like she's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
actually a man that is an active father and cooks and everything.
Nah, tell her man. Seldomly I cook.
No, but you throw it down. You throw it down. I see you. I see you. But
But yeah,
yeah, that's
somebody said to me the other day, this woman in Jamaica, uh,
mm,
she she commented on one of my WhatsApp posts,
yeah.
and she said something that was so profound. She asked me if I ever look back and realize that I'm such an influence across like this generation of my family. And I said, I've never looked at it that way.
No.
But you're so right, because when I actually started looking at it, and I'm like, I look at all my siblings, older and younger,
Mm-hmm.
and literally all of them look to me for inspiration. And even my brother, like thinking of becoming a father and stuff like that, and looking to me for inspiration and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it is refreshing to see that not only that I'm being this exemplary father for myself and for my family, but also to a lot of people, right? The extended family and other guys in the community, they've
Mm-hmm.
connected with me and they're like, yo, Andre, like, I can't wait to become a husband. I can't wait to become a father, right? So it's just like
Jeez.
changing that narrative, and it's so powerful. So I encourage all the fathers out there within their space to, show, put it out there so other people can see that relationship, because you'll never know
Who's
who's
watching?
watching and who you might be able to inspire.
Absolutely. Actually, yeah, I think, and what I'm gonna do tomorrow, because obviously tomorrow's Father's Day, I'm going to salute
Yeah,
especially the ones I know that's like active, and just say like, you're such an inspiration. Like, I love the interaction that you have with your children, and I know you're
yeah,
there and stuff. And even the fathers that have passed away, right?
yeah.
Oh, I have a couple friends that have lost their parents, or sorry, lost their father, or one of my friends, he was a father of four, and it just breaks my heart that they, aren't able to have
Mm.
more time with him.
Hmm.
And I know he was like there because like I would always see social media, right?
Yeah, that's
And
rough.
then I just gotta give, shout out to the ones that they're fallen soldiers.
Yeah.
So mm,
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, like even my granddad was such an incredible father as well. I
mhm,
mean, he passed at the age of, I think it's 92 or 94, one of the two. But
mm,
like really incredible. But yeah, it is a tough thing, like losing a parent just in general. But imagine being a child and not having that opportunity
Yes.
to it's hard. And you know one of my mentees,
Hmm.
it's they're sometimes like you're called upon, and there's no choice.
Hmm.
And I play father figure to some people now, in situation where I feel like I was called upon,
Yeah.
and even though I didn't want it, it's just organically happens that way. And I remember one of my mentee commenting on one of my posts one time and saying, "I wish I had a father like you." And I said, "Why are you wishing? You have me." You know what I mean?
Oh,
I'm
look
that
at me!
father,
You're saying those bars. What?
right? And
What?
you know what I mean? So I'll tell you, like, it is something because I've been through it,
Yeah.
and not only been through it, because I'll tell you, like, I've had so many rich experiences growing up. Because even when I was in cadet, and I quickly went through the ranks in cadet and become like one of the senior officers, and I used to work with like young guys in high school, giving a lot of trouble. So from a long time, I've been working with kids who a lot of people see them as outcasts and don't want to have anything to do them. You're a bad man, them, you're this, them, and whatever. Right? The problem with society is that a lot of times people don't take the time to understand these guys and see what they're
Yes.
going through.
Yes.
9 times out of 10, I'll tell you, these a lot of these guys that were given trouble in high school, they never had a present father. Either their father was just not there, or the father got killed by police or gunmen,
Yeah.
right? So a lot of the times they're growing up with just so much hate, and everybody's blaming them. The parents cuss them and say, "You walk less like your father," or so and so like your father. And so men carry a huge emotional burden a lot of the times, combined with a society that's telling them, "Yo, man, nothing ball, and man, nothing do this, and man, do that, and whatever." So they are just carrying this emotional burden inside, and so it does a lot when another man come and say, "It's okay," right? Another man will come and not go abuse them because you have some predator out there. But another man will genuinely come and say, "Yo, it is okay," and not looking to abuse the person. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It really does a lot. And even like, and I'm going off here, beginning to sound like a counselor, a preacher,
No,
but
preach on,
that's what I
brother.
do. Just reflecting even on Jamaica, and I bring up Jamaica a lot, and I mean, I'm sure these issues are everywhere else around the world, but even reflecting on Jamaica, and you hear a lot of people, even in Toronto, you hear a lot of people talk about like this and that for the youth them, and the black youth them not do that, and the youth them at Jamaica not do this, and we
Yeah.
need to be harsh, and we need to create these tough programs. A lot of the times the issue is a social one, because
Hmm.
a lot of these youth, if you actually sit down and get to know them, you'd realize that they want to do better, right? They think about doing better all the time.
They just
They
need
just
the
don't know
guidance.
how, and their reality almost prevents them from doing better, right? So we want to see more active and present father out there, and being a figure to other, young kids if you can, and whatever, become a big brother, a uncle, or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I hope in the future it happens like that. And also, when certain things happen, like if you see a next gentleman doing something sketchy or wrong, call them out and try to correct that type of behavior if you can
yeah,
safely, and just try to show the like Andre shows a great way of being a father, husband, friend, and everything. So if you could do that, do it for others, and then just
hmm
show them that good way of being a
hmm
father and stuff, like
thanks. I appreciate that, by the way.
like my dad, it's funny, he was just telling me a story the other day that, like, how do I say this? his friends back in the day used to like say, "Oh, come out and party." Da 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 da. He's like, "No, I'm staying with like my wife and my kids and stuff, right? Just to show them like this is how I want my life to be."
Yeah.
And eventually, because we're hard headed and everything
Yeah.
when we're young, we don't get it at that time until
Right.
after, and then that's when like some of his friends realize, you're like, oh, I see why you did that, because your family's important
Yeah.
in the long run, right?
100%.
um and just, yeah, guys, just try to protect the women.
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely.
Protect the women and children, actually. That, yeah, like, especially I hear what's going on in Jamaica, and it saddens me, or even what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
I even heard a story that, like, I listened to this other podcast, like,
Yeah.
guy went and checked a next dude on certain things that was happening. It's like, yo, that's not right. Like, so I commend, because obviously, especially if you're a father of a girl child, you're
Yeah.
going to have a different way of thinking than
Right.
if you have a boy child.
100%.
I
Yeah.
shouldn't say this. Sometimes I feel like guys get, the ones that were acting away when they were young always get jinxed and get a girl child, so
Girl.
they can switch up their ways and be a better person. So
Right. But
no.
I mean, I think, and I'm glad you touched on that point because so this is the in my book, page 91, the
Mm,
chapter on my father. So it talks about that. There's this quote. It's like it's really good. It says, "Fatherhood is not something perfect men do, but something that perfects the man." I love that quote so much. It is not something that perfect men do. It
mm-hmm.
is something that perfects the man, right?
Yeah.
And I will tell you, like, being a father has grounded me in so many ways, right? Because I feel like, if it was just a situation with Chanel and I, like, a lot of the things that, like, we wouldn't think about Nathan, there wouldn't be a Nathan in many situations to think about. So a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times we have to think about him and we have to put
Yeah.
him at the front of all our decisions. So for example, like if we're traveling, and like we have to think about his safety, we have to think about
True.
his well-being and stuff like that. I have to be patient. I mean, I think my wife still believes that I'm not patient in my decision a lot of times, especially when it comes to investing. I'll tell her my wife is more like so conservative when it comes
Yeah.
to investing, and I am super aggressive.
Mm.
A lot of the times I try to find the middle ground, but oftentimes I'm of the view that opportunity is not going to sit and wait on anyone, and I feel like. But anyways, that's for another story. I think we can have a whole podcast with she and
Okay.
I on our different investing views
Don't
and
worry.
personality
Soon
type.
come. Soon come.
Yeah, I think that would be a super cool
Yeah.
segment to have like different partners come on and talk about their
Well, you're
investing
pregnant,
style.
because I.
Yeah, well, yeah, for the people of a couple of, we can bring on the couple of people, and but
Don't try to.
but it has grounded me in so many ways because
Mhm.
a lot of times I'm making decisions and thinking about certain things, and I have to think about him first. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And
I've heard that a lot.
so yeah, it perfects you.
Nice.
Patience, compassion, uh, and even like, some people had this drive that, they wanted to achieve certain things. And I feel like for me, I had the drive, but now I'm like, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, now that he's in
Mm-hmm.
the picture, right? So
Yeah.
like I used to have these ifs, and I'm like, no, when, because
Yeah.
I need to make this happen for my son, right? And for the next one who
Nice.
might come in the future. Not giving no
What?
hint. Not give no hint.
I'm like,
But
what?
I still want that is little girl. Um,
Aww. Soon time, soon time, soon time.
soon time,
I'm
soon
not,
time.
Chanel, I'm not pressuring you, eh? Not pressuring you. I'm not, I swear, I swear. Well, that would be sweet, because then you guys would have balance. Aw, yes. Try to get a girl child because it's balance. Trust me. When
Yeah,
the balance is needed
100%,
and stuff,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Well, I know you've taught Nathan a lot. Like I see it grand, and even now, I'm learning from my dad. He's giving some heavy knowledge and stuff these days. Like I feel
Hmm.
like he's just on the chair and just like listen. And then, they spit that hard facts and those hard wisdom. I appreciate it a lot
Hmm.
because at times I didn't listen as much, but I understand how special he is to me, and I love him,
Yeah.
even though he doesn't think I do because I'm stubborn. But
Yeah.
I will start actually saying that more to him, because I think that was something I was, more connected with my mom, but I'm trying to build a better relationship, hands down,
Nice.
you know? And
Nice.
yeah.
All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. This was a pretty good discussion, and like we said, shout out to all the generals them out there. We salute
Yes.
each and every single one of them. Like any man that's a father,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even if me not know you, if you're a present father, no matter where they, you have my respect, right?
Hands
It's
down.
something that,
Hands down.
and like I'll tell you that I crave being a father, a good
Mm,
father from a long time. I remember one time
nice.
I saw this Rasta guy on a bus. I was heading to Square One or coming
Yeah.
back from Square One. I don't remember. But I saw this guy on the bus, and he was just such an incredible father. And it
Mm,
just like it touched like a soft spot, and I'm like, wow, that guy is such a good father. And
yes.
it is just something that I've always dreamt of becoming being a present father. And like my son and I talk every day, like literally every
Yeah.
single time like me start talking to him, just start telling me everything. So this is how the conversation goes.
Yeah.
uh Nathan, how are you? I'm good. Eating mac and cheese, breakfast porridge, plantain, Teddy iPad Teddy, and he just start list out everything. And then him immediately start going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and keep going. He just
I
wants
love it.
to, him just want to talk to me, and him just want to share his knowledge with me all the time.
Mm.
You know what I
You might
mean?
get me tear-eyed. I honestly, whenever I see, I'm like, oh. That's why I was like, yo, Andre, you have to send me a photo of you and Nathan. I'm not gonna just have like just you. I need you to have a photo of you and Nathan, so I can show everyone like the true meaning of being a active father and a loving father and all that great stuff. So big up
Mhm.
yourself. You're a true king,
Respect, respect.
true
All right,
general.
respect, respect. Big up
Rah,
myself.
rah, rah, rah,
Pop,
rah.
big up myself. Pop my collar, pop my collar.
Hey,
All
that's
right, good stuff, good stuff, good stuff.
yeah, man. And to everyone else, like Andre said, big up to the fathers, the grandfathers, the uncles. Rest in peace to the grandfathers, uncles, the stepdads, and all that stuff. I only met my grandparents, sorry, my grandfathers once. So I
Mhm.
didn't be able to like create that bond. So I apologize for not talking about them, but I only met them once. So, but yeah, I wish I was able to,
Yeah.
know them more, just to get spoiled a little bit more.
The grandparents, them always spoil.
All right. So like, I hope everyone's able to celebrate Father's Day. Do something nice. Whatever they want to do it. I'm ready to make some pancakes tomorrow. And I guess celebrate. I hope it doesn't rain tomorrow. I hope, because I don't.
Yeah.
I want to be outside. I like the fresh air. Might I might cheat tomorrow to to have a meal with him. So we'll see. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens and stuff.
All right.
So
Well,
yeah.
happy
So guys,
Father's
make sure you
Day.
like,
Happy Father's Day.
subscribe.
Like, subscribe,
Yes,
share, and tell a friend to tell a friend about the
exactly.
things I wish I knew about money podcast. So I'm going to turn it over to our lovely host, Camille, to wrap it up with
The
our
song, eh?
family tune.
Family. But also, I want to say, Andre, happy Father's Day, early Father's
Bless
Day.
up.
You are
Enough
a big,
respect.
big general. And to the other ones that I know, I'm not going to call everyone out because I'll just tell it to you guys tomorrow. But there's many that I know that are very, very good. So until next time, folks. Cheese.